For the Sonic franchise, 2023 is nothing short of the year of Amy Rose. Finally recognizing her as a primary cast member again, her grand return to playable status in 3 games, her own anniversary comic, and the official fan game, The Murder of Sonic the Hedgehog, taking place at her birthday party. From big impacts to small roles, Amy Rose has found a comfortable place in just about every nook and cranny of modern Sonic. But this wasn't always the case. Amy Rose has a surprisingly long history of being neglected by the series, to the point that her very first Western appearance in Sonic CD doesn't even acknowledge her as her own character. So how did we get here? Now, for the sake of time and clarity, we're going to be focusing on her mainline canon and more or less canon spin-off appearances. However, we will be making exceptions for non-canon things that are important to either her history or the perception of her character. If we had to add Archie Sonic to this history lesson, we'd be here all day discussing ship wars and character assassination alone. So now, this is the history of Amy Rose. Now, despite what Sega will tell you, 2023 is not the 30th anniversary of Amy Rose. At least, not her mainline incarnation. Amy is one of the few characters with the honor of making it to canon after premiering in a spin-off. Amy was first seen in the Sonic the Hedgehog manga series, premiering in 1992. There she serves the role of damsel in distress for Nikki, her boyfriend. She is routinely kidnapped by local bully Anton Veruca and has to be saved by the mysterious hero, Sonic the Hedgehog. However, Sonic is truly Nikki's heroic alter ego, that even Nikki doesn't know about. Amy being the implied love interest to Sonic and a damsel in distress is all that really carried over to the mainline series. Even her design was changed, which later came back around to the manga. Amy as we know her came in 1993, with Sonic CD. Here, Amy is as helpless to Eggman and Metal Sonic's capture as she is helplessly in love with Sonic, despite him not reciprocating. He saves her, and then runs off, as he does. Aside from her crush on Sonic, she's also characterized by her mysticism. Her original reason for going to Little Planet is to find her true love after a tarot card reading. Though this aspect of her character is downplayed in international versions, it does pop up from time to time and has recently returned as a staying aspect of her character. Though it's not mentioned at all in the American manual. Why? Because this isn't actually Amy Rose. It's Princess Sally. Amy was conceived as an unconventional love interest for Sonic, one that he wouldn't reciprocate since sticking around for romance wasn't Sonic's style. However, that idea directly clashed with the American spin-offs of the time, Sonic SatAM and Archie's comic series, where he had a tenuous relationship with one Princess Sally Acorn. There was somewhat of an effort to combine the two characters. In the American manual for Sonic CD, Amy was replaced by Princess Sally. This was despite Amy and Sally not even being the same species. The flip side of this could be seen in Sonic's Christmas Blast, where Sally is colored pink. Amy would continue to appear through the classic timeframe through spin-offs. Thanks to the racing games in the list, we know that Amy has at least 2 cards. This one can float! Interestingly, Sonic the Fighters would be where Amy's weapon, the Pico Pico Hammer, debuted. While its original design was more in line with the toy hammer, it would quickly take on a more mallet-like appearance. Sonic Adventure marked many changes for Amy. Most notably is her new design. However, what also changed was her personality. She matured, as made sense with her being aged up from 8 to 12, and so loving Sonic was no longer her one defining character trait, though love remained very much at the core of her character. Throughout both adventure games, Amy is driven by her love and care for others, and the world in general. In Adventure, looking after Birdie allows her to grow, with her putting herself in danger just to keep Birdie safe, acting as the hero she looks up to Sonic for being. She even protects Gamma from Sonic, standing on her own against the one she admires. In Adventure 2, she's the one who has a heart-to-heart with Shadow, arguing for the positive qualities of humanity and ultimately convincing him to save it. Here, we enter an important aspect of Amy's characterization, one that changes her dynamic with Sonic and makes Amy a surprisingly good teammate for him. While Sonic does care for others and wants to see villains become good, he's much more focused on protecting those in need and stopping the villains. Amy, meanwhile, will stick by someone as long as she sees the possibility of good in them and help them reach their potential. Sonic helps people by fighting, while Amy helps others by talking. In fact, Amy pretty much parallels Sonic in her adventure seeking. It's shown that she hates boredom and, though she does have traditionally feminine interests, she enjoys thrills. She sat out races, participated in fighting tournaments, and chases after Sonic wherever he goes, even if it means breaking into a prison. By the end of the adventure era, she's worked herself up from being a girl chasing after Sonic to an adventurer in her own right. In fact, there's something to be said about how Amy is basically the only recurring Sonic character without an innate power. Sonic has his speed, Tails has flight, Knuckles has his strength and can glide, Chaos Control, others who can glide and fly, Pyromancy, PSI. Amy's just a girl who learned she could be like the hero she looks up to, and grew stronger of her own volition. Sure, there's her mysticism, which might be how she can constantly find Sonic, and maybe the reason she can turn invisible in Sonic 06. But it's never really factored into her strengths as a character or her heroism. While Sonic is a paragon, Amy is more of a realistic hero, that makes them work really well as a character duo. This isn't to say that her crush on Sonic is completely gone, but by the time of Adventure 2, it's been toned down to her joking around, trying to get Sonic to marry her in exchange for freeing him from prison and telling him about Shadow. Though she was still working as a damsel in distress part-time, Amy would temporarily become a hero in her own right. Though not playable, she does perform a successful break-in to Prison Island to free Sonic. She's a playable character throughout the Advanced Trilogy and plays a role in the plot of spin-offs for a time. In Heroes, she even leads her own team. If there was a Sonic game, it would be guaranteed Amy would get her time in the spotlight during it. But this time frame would coincide with the supposed Dark Age of Sonic, and would bring us the Dark Age of Amy Rose. After the Adventure duology, Amy's characterization became a lot more violent and obsessive. Unfortunately, this was also when Sonic and Amy as a romantic couple began to inch into canon. Both of these are well documented and well remembered in Sonic X. The Sonic X version of Amy is a loving, but violent portrayal of the character. Like the rest of this era, her main motivation in her appearances is to get Sonic to go on a date with her. Amy largely played a supportive role in the series, staying on the sidelines of whatever episode she was in. Her role as the heart of the team was taken by Chris Thorndike, even taking away her pivotal moment in the Adventure 2 adaptation, and having her instead watch as Chris had a heart-to-heart with Shadow. When she did take action, it was often a result of losing control of her emotions, which was the style at the time. This peaked with Sonic Battle, where she obsessed with Sonic to the point of acting like Emerald is their child, and even creating a physical hallucination of Sonic to help her fight during the story mode. But time marches on, and, despite returning to secondary cast status, there was a light of hope for Amy. In Sonic Rush, despite a scene where she tries to hurt Cream, we do get a return to her characterization of changing others' hearts. Here we get it with Blaze, as she and Cream convince her to accept others' help. This would even continue on in Sonic 06, where she helps Silver find his goal, not knowing it's Sonic, and pumps up and has a heart-to-heart with Elise. Yeah, it's weird because Amy doesn't know the one she's with is talking about Sonic again, but still a return to form for her. Unleashed would bring the end to a running gag started in Adventure 2, where Amy tackles another hedgehog believing they're Sonic. Here, it is Sonic, but in his werehog form, and she apologizes before running away. It's also possible as the player to finally grant Amy her wish and have Sonic accept a date with her. This date could be what was supposed to happen in Sonic and the Black Knight, where in the after credits we get one final goodbye to Amy's violent side as she chases Sonic for missing their date, probably believing he'd get isekai'd into a book, but not that he would be a king. Well, at least that a well-written Sonic wouldn't. After that, Amy and the rest of the secondary cast entered into a quiet period as plots in each game became less important. She's missing in Sonic Colors, aside from the DS version where she's chasing Sonic around the amusement park. In Generations, she's rescued in Chemical Plant Zone. And in Lost World, she's taking care of the flickies on the ground as Sonic and Tails adventure in the sky. In Sonic Forces, she is put in the role of mission control and overseeing the resistance. Her anger has been tempered down into occasional snark. Finally, Amy would fully enter her modern characterization with the IDW comics. This would portray her as a mix of nearly everything that had come before. She's mature, she's adventurous, she's a powerhouse, and her short temper is only directed at the bad guys and Omochao. Now something you'll notice is that her crush on Sonic has been downplayed immensely, but that isn't to say it isn't still there. Continuing from her role in Sonic Forces, she officially became the leader of the Resistance, quickly renamed the Restoration after Knuckles quit. But leadership didn't suit her, and soon enough she handed the role to Jewel the Beetle, so she could continue on her own adventures. However, this time frame of Amy being a leader has led to some comparisons between Amy and Princess Sally. Not helped is that the first Amy focus issue is essentially one big, somewhat flirtatious dialogue about how the comic was going to avoid the pitfalls of the Archie continuity, especially those which led to one of the most infamous moments for Sally, while simultaneously Sonic offers her a place by his side. But Amy wouldn't take this offer. At the time, the Resistance needed her, and it wasn't in her character to abandon them. Still, with the burdens of leadership gone, she would join him on adventures, such as in Sonic Frontiers, where she declares that she's going to spread her love with the world. And that is where we are now in the present. But what about the past? With the recent revisions to the classic timeline thanks to the IDW specials Sonic Origins and the upcoming Sonic Superstars, there have been a few changes to Amy's timeline. For one, Amy's now the first of Team Sonic that Sonic met, as Sonic CD now takes place before Sonic 2. Moreover, she's been going on adventures as part of Team Sonic ever since the classic timeframe. It makes it a bit odd that her story and adventure is about her coming into her own when Superstars shows her fighting for the Flickies long before then. It's been introduced that classic Amy hates being left behind. It's most likely also true in the modern day, but she is now viewed as a member of the team and a friend to all, so she isn't being left behind anymore. In fact, with all the back and forth over her characterization and continuity, exactly who Amy Rose is, and even was, is up in the air. Is this Amy or Princess Sally? Is she 8, 12, or older? Is she mature or short-tempered to the point of abuse? Is she a clingy fangirl, a genuine friend, or even a romantic interest? Modern canon states that CD is indeed where Amy Rose began, the supposed Princess Sally being in the game never really escaping the manual. As well, the ages of the Sonic cast are currently left vague, with Amy being portrayed as about Sonic's age with the same level of maturity, and lack thereof. It seems Sonic does reciprocate her, even if he's bad at acting on his feelings, and has since Unleashed. I doubt we'll ever get them fully canon, since the series doesn't tend to do romance, and even more rarely does it do romance well. For a while, they'll most likely be stuck in the limbo of untouched reciprocation that a lot of video games go for with its couples. But who knows? Unlike many other mascot-driven franchises, the status quo of Sonic is always in flux. I mean, Eggman has a daughter now. It feels like anything is possible. Characterization-wise, we appear to have completely shed her more violent tendencies. These incidents aren't mentioned as having happened before, though her strength remains. And, though it does cause somewhat of a rift in continuity, Amy appears to have been adventuring with Sonic as a close friend since basically the beginning, making her a primary member of the cast in both the past and present. And, just like Princess Sally took Amy's first video game appearance from her, Amy is receiving an anniversary celebration in Princess Sally's medium. It's like poetry. They rhyme. Amy is one of, if not the, most inconsistent characters of the Sonic cast. From her past, to her purpose in the cast, it's hard to find something about her that hasn't been tinkered with to this day. But that malleability and constant changing of identity is something the Sonic franchise is no stranger to. When Sonic is at its best, Amy is too. When Sonic was going through its dark ages, Amy was too. When Sonic had its grand return to form, Amy did too. Now, am I saying an Amy Rose game would be the best video game of all time? Yes, but I'm also saying that, just like Sonic, there's a lot more going on with her if you actually look at her for what she is, and not just what readers online say about her. So let's celebrate this belated 30th anniversary of everyone's favorite rascal, and give her the same kindness and love she gives everyone else.